I grew up with a Nintendo GameCube, and it remains one of my favorite libraries of games to this day. It is awesome that so many GameCube games are going to end up on the Switch too now, but the problem is those are all classic games. What about the underrated games, the underappreciated or undervalued? Well, today we're going to talk about 5 of my favorite GameCube games that I feel are underrated and underappreciated from my personal collection. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Chris of Nosa Gaming, and today we're going to talk about 5 very different genres of games that will cover all of your unique GameCube gaming needs. We have an underappreciated party game from the iconic franchise Bomberman, a 2D action platformer twist on the Game Boy Advance MegaMan Battle Network series, a 3D spiritual successor to the Advance War franchise, a paranormal M-rated first-person shooter, and last but certainly not least, a Japanese warfare strategy pinball game. Yup, you heard that right. But let's save some of the weirder and more obscure games for later in the video, and instead, let's start off with one of the most iconic characters on this list of 5 games, with Bomberman Generation. Bomberman Generation was an early GameCube title, and it has so much personality that I equate to the GameCube. From the cel-shaded graphics and cozy story mode, to the impressive party game modes, this game offers a bit of everything for all gamers. This game was a big part of my childhood. I always remember it being the go-to game at my friend's house thanks to the endless fun the battle modes had to offer. Now, before we get into the big selling point of this game, which I do believe is the battle modes, let's talk about the story a bit. The story mode will have you travel between 6 distinct worlds that feature tons of minigames, cherry bomb encounters, light puzzle solving, and a boss battle at the end of each of them. This story mode is relaxing. It's not too long and it's not too difficult, outside of maybe getting used to the 3D environment for kicking bombs, as opposed to the 2D top-down view that you get in the battle modes. The minigames and puzzles offer short bits that do a great job at breaking up the level, and the cherry bombs offer a fun Pokemon collect-em-all type rock, paper, scissors side quest that is fun despite not being very deep, on top of giving your character additional abilities or effects outside of those mini battles. The true star of this game, however, is the battle mode. Now, I'm not the biggest Bomberman guy, and I haven't played every game in the franchise, but when it comes to GameCube multiplayer experiences, Bomberman Generation might genuinely be one of my top 5. Like, it is one of the greatest party modes of all of the GameCube. This game capitalizes on the Bomberman formula and expands on it immensely, introducing several new game modes, tons of awesome maps for standard battles, each with their own oddities, and a cool King of the Hill style reward that rewards the winner of the match in the next one. The gameplay is tight, fast-paced, and insanely chaotic at times. The amount of customization available before starting a match almost rivals Super Smash Bros. Melee at times, and similarly to that classic game, the fun that can be had is endless. Bomberman Generation is truly an underrated party game on the GameCube, and it's one that I believe everyone should have on their shelves. MegaMan Network Transmission is another early GameCube release. This game details the events that take place directly after the first game in the Battle Network franchise. Now, I may be a bit biased because the Battle Network franchise is one of my favorites of all time, but this game does an incredible job of taking the characters, music, environments, and chip system of the original game, but blends it in a 2D action platformer game akin to the original series of Mega Man games. For those unfamiliar with the series of games, you take on battles against viruses and navis using a combination of your Mega Buster and your deck of battle chips that offer a stronger punch in combat. The way they introduced the chip system in this game is very faithful to the way it's done on the Game Boy games, while twisting the formula just enough to work in a 2D side-scrolling game as opposed to an encounter-based RPG. This game has all of the main bosses of the original game and adds in loads of more memorable faces from the classic Mega Man franchise. While a bit of a niche, MegaMan Network Transmission still offers a lot to those of you who may not have gotten into the Battle Network games and their tactical RPG style of battles. The side-scrolling action-based gameplay is much more approachable, and the chip system is just as accessible to newcomers. This game is difficult, however. I found myself dying a lot to the first boss my first time playing through the game, so expect a learning curve. As much as we all love the Blue Bomber himself, this version of Mega Man and the characters from this franchise deserve so much more love than I feel they get, and because it's one of my favorite franchises, I'm always going to push it on people to try it out and give it a go, and that goes for Network Transmission, not just the Battle Network series of games. And now we're going to dive into our third game, which is another game inspired by a GBA franchise of games in Battalion Wars. Originally set to be part of the Advance Wars series, This game switched up from the tactic-style gameplay of the GBA games and instead offers up a third-person shooter experience with some real-time strategy elements baked in. If you love the Advance Wars series, this game offers all the same personality and charm that those games had, but in a 3D environment. From the cartoony military graphics, vibrant colors, and colorful personalities, all drawing inspiration from the original series. This game draws on a good mix of action and strategy. The game is constantly switching up the pacing to keep things fresh and exciting. The mission completion percentages provide an excellent amount of replayability for an army-based game, as you can study how a mission plays out, come up with a new strategy to try on your subsequent attempts. Trying to 100% this game would certainly take the mind of a high-ranking officer. For as silly and over-the-top this game can be sometimes with its characters and its dialogue, this is such a fun and challenging gaming experience, and having been released later into the GameCube's lifespan, it has a lot to offer compared to some of the earlier titles on the system. For fans of strategy games and shooters, I think this is a fantastic game to add to your GameCube collection. Now we're getting into the weird shit with our fourth game, Geist. This game, after a few years of being delayed, finally released in 2005, and takes what could have been your standard military first-person shooter game, but injects it with an incredibly unique twist with the ability to possess people, animals, and objects. The possession mechanic turns this shooter into a bit of a puzzle game at times, requiring you to possess things in order to influence the environment or people around you. One of the reasons I think Geist never took off is because Halo and Call of Duty, by the time it had been released, were already mainstays in the shooter genre, so it's kind of hard to compete with those taking up so much of the market. As well, the delays in its release definitely make it feel like an earlier release title for the system as opposed to a later one, and it may have done better if it came out earlier in the GameCube's life cycle. But don't let that trick you into thinking this is a bad game or a bad gaming experience. It's a lot of fun. I for one love the weird and ambitious games out there that dare to try something new, and while this game doesn't have the smoothest controls when compared to a game like Halo 2 for example, the uniqueness the puzzle solving adds to the game makes it more than worth your time to try out. If you're like me and you never really got into the first-person shooter genre, then this game might be an excellent gateway into the genre for you if you still haven't bridged the gap. It's unique and it's a lot of fun. Finally, we arrive at the weirdest, strangest gaming experience I've ever had. Winner of IGN's Most Innovative GameCube Game for 2006, we're talking about Odama. Have you ever thought, what if we take an RTS strategy warfare game like, let's say, Age of Empires, and slap it into a pinball machine? Well, that's Odama. I have never moved to the edge of my seat faster while playing a game for the first time than I did while playing Odama. This game blends your standard pinball experience with the struggles of commanding an army, having to bark orders at your soldiers with the GameCube mic accessory, and I'm really happy to report that outside of holding the GameCube controller and the mic at the same time, which can get a little awkward because you use the GameCube controller to flick the pinball paddles, and you need to hold the mic in order to shout commands at your army, the mic actually worked really well, and the army responds to all of your commands. No issues. The learning curve of this game is insane, and you will constantly lose, but the turnaround to get back into a level is fast, and the moments of almost succeeding before accidentally plowing the Odama into your units, causing you to fail, had me constantly reloading the level and pushing forward. Oh yeah, the big ball you're hitting around? That's Odama. There are 11 commands to learn throughout the game, and learning to use these while mastering your pinball skills to avoid running over your own army will be your path to succeeding in this game. Even if you're like me and you're just god-awful at this game, it is so stupidly fun that I urge everybody to find a copy of this, get a GameCube mic, and try it out for yourselves. I love this game so much that as soon as this video goes live, I'm probably gonna sit down and spend my weekend trying to beat Odama. It's that good. Or bad? I don't really know, but it's so fun to play, I don't even care. You guys have to try it out for yourselves. And with that, we have covered 5 underrated GameCube games I think you should try. Which of these games stood out to you as the most interesting, and do you think you'll pick up any of them to try them out? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you for watching this video all the way through, and I hope you leave a like and subscribe so that we can cover more underrated games on many of the other systems that I own in the future. But if we're talking about GameCube and you want to see me review a classic game, go check out my Metroid Prime video where I played it for the first time in 2025. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.